Hey guys, welcome to it yet again. I'm so excited to be coming in your spaces, and today I'm joined by David. David, welcome.
Morning. Thanks, Q. It's good to be back.
Fantastic. It's always good to have you.
First one of the year.
Oh yeah, 2024 already. How has it been?
Fantastic, wonderful, beautiful. But it's only been 4 and a bit days.
Are you just being hopeful, or it's been fantastic?
It's been fantastic.
It's been fantastic. I guess I was talking to somebody. It was actually yesterday evening, and they were saying they're going to join a gym. And I remember this person that last year they did the same thing, and the previous year, and then they just hit second week of January and they fizzle off. Are you one of those?
No. I can proudly say it's probably now been over day 1,000 that I've every day consecutively not been to the gym.
And you're fit. Or you think
fit's a different. No, fit's a different thing. I walk daily, and for now that's about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I live in a house where I sleep upstairs, so I use the steps to go to sleep. So does that count as working out?
For me it does. For me it does. I think if you look at all these people that follow their smartwatches and they make the X steps, any step will count.
Oh yeah, any steps they're taking it. Well, in any case, I think it's a great year. It's going to be an amazing year.
Yeah.
It's a leap year, so it means we've got one extra day to be great.
True. Plus, this year I've been married for 32 years.
Wow.
Leap day.
Wow. Let me be the first one to say congratulations.
Thank
32 you. Years of staying with the same person.
Yeah, and it's getting better by the day.
And I must say you're also beginning to look alike, like brother and sister.
How did you know I have a French bulldog as well? Apparently we also look similar.
Oh yeah, with that dog. Well guys, whatever your plans are for the year, make sure that you commit to action. Make sure that you push, you get what you put in. And we are so excited to be coming in your space, and we're speaking a bit about focus on 2024.
Yeah.
And specifically about why is it we've got so many leaders but very little leadership. David.
Sure. I think people misunderstand what leaders mean, what leadership means. My view is very simple. Wherever you are, doesn't matter the circumstances, the audience, you are a leader. And a leader for me sets the example that people want to be around. Some people will say follow. If you want to be in my company, I suppose we can argue that you want to follow me, but similarly. So at any given point in time, we have an opportunity to be a leader. So whether that's at work, whether that's on a sport field, whether it's you leading this, we all have leaders. But I think over time, what's happened, probably for the last 50 years or so, is that people have, let's call it, abdicated their responsibility to be leaders in their own lives to other people. I think that's what's happened. So
I like that. Wow.
a lot of leaders, but not probably in the right places and at the right times.
Wow. So would you then say, do we have a leadership problem in Africa?
I think one of the challenges we have, Q, is not only that we have a leadership problem, but that we have a problem where people don't want to step up to the plate and be leaders when it's required of the individual. I'll give you an example. In South Africa, we're going to vote. We don't know when. The president will probably hopefully announce it in February in his speech. But we all have a role to play. And when you have a role to play, for me, you also have a form of leadership to play.
Okay.
And the best thing that we can do is lead ourselves to the voting poll and lead other people to the voting poll. So for me, leadership, it's a big thing, but I think we either overestimate it or we underestimate the value of leadership and what it really means. That for me is, I'm not sure if I answered your question with that one.
No, you haven't.
Okay, ask the question again.
I want you to tell me here, categorically, do we have a leadership problem in Africa?
I think we have both. I think we have a people problem that results in a leadership problem. Because remember, our leaders come from the communities.
Yes.
Our leaders are not shipped in. They're not aliens. They are people that come from our own communities. And the mistake I think we make is we think that leaders are people that have their own businesses. So the leader would be, you know, the headmaster of the school, or the MD of the company, or the CEO, or the person who's in charge of a department, or the pastor, you know, or the priest, or the reverend. And that's not what leadership is about. Leadership is people that come out of the community, where the community says, we trust this guy, which is another discussion, because we also have a trust deficit. I think that links up to the fact that we have a leadership problem. But because of the bad leadership that we've seen over the last, probably since the 80s, globally, people don't want to be in the light of what we today perceive to be leaders. I mean, just look at the politicians globally. Do you want to be associated with the leaders that we currently have just in South Africa? Do you want to be the person that takes over from that person if the perception is that the next guy is just going to be as bad? Which unfortunately we've seen for a few years now globally. So I think we have a people problem, not a leadership problem, and that problem is we've abdicated our responsibility to be leaders. And it comes to, you know, it leads to another discussion, Q. One of my favorite things that I'll be spending a lot of time on for the rest of my life is how do we get people involved in whatever it is? Whatever it is.
Yes.
How do we get people involved? Because people are complaining about the same things.
Yes. So are they not getting involved, or do they want to get enticed to get involved?
Sure, now you're talking about how do we incentivize people, or how do we motivate people to get involved. That's not a subject that I can speak on. But from an experience point of view in the world that we operate, I think one of the things that we've done over the last, again, 30, 50 years is that we, because remember, it's society, it's not that person or that person. We've created this idea that everybody must be equal on all levels. Now, in theory, that sounds right.
Yeah.
But not everybody can be the leader of a business. But everybody can be a leader of their own lives.
Yes.
So leadership starts with when you take accountability for yourself. So what we've done is we've said, somebody else can take care of it for me. The flip side of that coin is we've reached, and I think it's because of that, or maybe it's a combination of that, and I'm still digging into this, and there's been lots written and said about it, but so we've got people that will take advantage of that, and because they take advantage of that, these guys become quite good at speaking to these people. So these guys become the messiahs, because these guys are saying, oh, I like what this guy is saying. So now this guy becomes the leader by default.
Wow.
The next guy says, I'm not even going to try and argue with this guy because this guy is just not making sense. And this is what we need. But we also live in a world today where if you disagree with this guy, you get cancelled. And then the people that follow this guy that gets cancelled stay quiet. And that's part of the challenge. So there are enough political examples today with leaderships. Just look at what happened in the States, for example, but also in South Africa. When we follow the people that say things that make sense to us, we've got to question ourselves first and say, well, why does it make sense to me? And in general, people around the world are not doing that anymore. We're not educating ourselves with relevant knowledge. And what I mean by that is, if we are in a discussion about something, and I don't know enough about it, and what I mean by that is, I only know what I know because of who I've been involved. But I've never spoken to people outside of my circle to disagree with me, and then find out, why do they disagree? You know, I've got to find out. There's a guy, Ray Dalio, who wrote a very interesting book, a couple of things, but one of the things that I take away from what he said was that in order for me to know that I'm right, I've got to make sure that I'm right.
Yes.
And how do I find that out? I speak to as many people as possible, because if I'm wrong, I have to become right. And we have that situation globally. We think that we're right. All of us want to believe that we're right. But we're limited in terms of our knowledge and our experience to the world that we live in. So look at South Africa. We've got people that are living in the Western Cape. Their experience of life, forget about politics and those things, because of the culture, as one example, versus somebody that lives, let's say, in Uppington in the Northern Cape, will be vastly different.
Yeah.
So if I can find somebody that can speak to the person living in Uppington and speak their language, appeal to their culture, they will listen to me before they listen to somebody that comes from, for example, KZN. So it's up to the people in their different environments to be the leader of their own world, their own future, and say, let me equip myself. And that's the first thing about leadership, is equip yourself. And then take it to that next level, whatever that might be. But sadly, we live in a world today where, nope, somebody else will do it.
Yeah.
And our leaders are telling that to us.
Yeah.
In South Africa, we've got a very good example. Grants.
Yeah.
Grants will never disappear. We spoke about this before.
Yep.
Grants will never disappear.
Yes.
But for some reason, there are still millions of people that relying on grants.
Okay.
And our government says that's a fantastic thing. But what it says to our people is that this is how good you are. You are as good as 350 rand or whatever the case may be, not more.
Yeah.
And there's a whole lot of other things that got. So people are saying, but if somebody else comes into power, if you want to use that word, then I'm going to lose my grant. You never lose the grant. But we need somebody that says, we're going to do better with what we have at the moment. We're going to have to do better. You know, there's an old saying, one of my favorites, do what you can with what you have where you are. So let's do that.
Wow.
So leadership starts with me, finding out what I want to know, what's good for me, what's bad for me, and not get stuck in, oh, but this is what I know and therefore this must be right. Because what if you're wrong?
Yeah. Wow, I love that. I think from where you're coming from, my understanding out of this is leadership is about responsibility. First, within yourself.
And accountability.
And accountability.
And accountability as well.
So can we agree that South Africa is broken?
I think there are things broken in South Africa. But are we broken as a country? No. There are too many good things to say that we are broken. So I'm going to repeat this. Are there things broken? Yes. But let's not forget, there are things broken all around the world. That should, however, not be the reason why we say, oh, okay, so it's okay to be some broken in South Africa. So if it's broken, fix it. If your car is broken, what do? You don't leave it next to the road. You make a plan. So if you feel that your life is broken, what are you doing about it? What are you doing about it?
So do we need leaders or do we need managers?
You need both. You can't have only leaders or only managers. You need both. Now there again, you can go into the business book definitions. You can go into philosophy. But the leader, in a nutshell, for me, is that person that people will follow.
Yes.
The manager, in my definition, is a person that says, okay, the leader said this, we agreed that this must be done. Now, how are we going to do it at different levels? Those become the managers.
So,
who are in turn are also leaders in their role.
Yes.
They manage in the bigger scheme of things. But let me go back to what I said earlier. I am a leader just because of who I am in my world. I am the leader of my world.
Yes.
So, yes, we need managers, but we've got to understand that we've got different, almost want to call it different identities, which is another big thing that I'm sure we're going to talk about in the future. My identity is not, I am David Weideman, the co-owner of the Alternative Board, or I am David Weideman, the guy that's married to this person. My identity differs given where I am. So here my identity is different. When I'm at work, my identity is different. When I'm at home, my identity is different. When I am relaxing around a braai with friends, my identity is different, if I can use that identity term. So, you know, we've got to understand that leadership is called for at different times, at different places.
I like that. So you are not defined by an identity, you are defined by what you choose to believe in, which is your value system.
It's an interesting observation that you make, because I think part of the challenge that we have at the moment is that people don't have agency, they don't have trust, they don't have confidence in themselves for various reasons. Which again, why I go back is to say, I need to find out what do I want first and foremost. You know, the Bible teaches the idea or the concept of you've got to let your cup overflow first. And when your cup overflows, when it hits the table or the platform that it stands on, that's when you start looking at the rest of the world. But as long as your cup is not overflowing, you are not in the best position that you can be. And unfortunately, for various reasons, we have the majority of people that I certainly interact with, when there's a little bit in that cup, they start throwing out and dishing out already, as opposed to letting theirs fill up.
Yeah.
So part of what we need to do, or as an individual, what I need to do to make sure that my cup, first of all, becomes full and then overflows, is I've got to take care of myself. Which again comes back to, so I've got to be the leader of my cup.
Yeah.
I must make sure my cup overflows. I must manage my cup. When that works,
Yes.
then I can become the leader to my wife, my kids, my community, at the office, on the sport field. It doesn't matter. Yeah? You spoke about leaders. Let me use the example of the recent Rugby World Cup. South Africa had how many provincial captains in the Springbok team? But there was only one leader. So everybody needs to be a leader at some point.
Yes.
And the captain of the Springbok team is a gentleman by the name of Sia. But who's the captain of the Stormers or the Lions? It's not Sia. I mean, Sia played at a team, a provincial team, where he was not even the captain, but he's the Springbok captain. So leadership, different times, different places.
You're either in power or in control or in authority or out of authority at any given time. Why I ask that is, even as we are gearing ourselves for the upcoming elections, should we encourage people to go after characters, which is certain leaders, or should they go after their belief system? You said it well. You said the David at work is not the David with your mates, it's not the David at home, but it's the same David. What makes him the same David is probably what you stand by, what you live by, your code of ethics. So when people fight for you, they're not fighting for you as a man. They're fighting for the things that you hold dear, the things that you believe in. And I've come to understand that it's not coming quite clear yet in our nation. What do we stand for? What should we hold fast and fight for and protect? That's not coming out. What's coming out is the car that I drive, the house I live in, the women I'm seen with. It's more or less my lifestyle rather than what I live for.
Q, I read an interesting thing last night. I didn't read it, I heard it. It was a little video clip. There was research done, and what these people did is they took a group of people and they said, they asked each individual, you can work for 100,000, forget about the currency, you can work for 100,000, but all your colleagues will earn 200,000. Or you can work for 50,000, and all your colleagues will work for 25. So let me say that again. You get 100, everybody else gets 200. Or you get 50, everybody else gets 25. You had to choose which job to take. Half of the people, it was split in half. Half of the people would settle for the 50 because they got more, or let's flip it around, because other people got less than what they got. So they would settle for 25 as opposed to 100, or for 50 as opposed to 100, but just because other people got less than them. So they would not take 100, but not 200. They would rather take 50 because it's more than the rest of them. So think about that. Just think about that, and it starts speaking to your question. What is it that we want? We don't know what we want. So again, I am the person that's always going to talk to an individual, doesn't matter where they are. What do you want? What do you want for yourself? What do you want for your family? What do you want for your future? What do you want? My favorite question is this. You won the lotto. And please don't just go play the lotto. Your chances are very slim. But let's say somebody comes to you and says, you know what, Q, I like your face. Like your beard, like the way you sound, doesn't matter. Here is R1 billion. You are 40 years old, you're going to live to the age of 90, you've got 50 years left. What are you going to do with R1 billion for the rest of your life, knowing that you don't have to work? Again, ever. You have to do nothing to earn money. What will you do for the next 50 years with your life? That's the question I ask myself. Q, every day. Every day, you know, I have a tattoo on my arm that speaks to it. Every day I ask myself, what I'm going to do today, is it going to benefit me in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years? Because what I do today is definitely going to impact what's going to happen to me in 10 years. It is definitely going to impact that. So whether I invest, work, don't invest, don't work, you know, mess up relationships, build new relationships, it's going to impact, but who? Me. So to your point, we are so concerned about other people.
Yeah.
Rather what we should do is, what do I want? And then remember, I have a lifetime to achieve. Now, it does bring in a different discussion. When we start talking, David, that's easy to speak when you have a house and a car and an income and you know, you're not hungry. But it also speaks then to me to say, okay, the world that you want to live in, do you want that hungry guy to come and knock on your door, or even worse, come and steal from you? No. So what are you doing to create the world where that does not happen? Or are you absconding? And just, or are you abdicating that responsibility to other people? And how is that working for you? I personally believe we will never get rid of poverty in my life. Well, I shouldn't say never. We won't get rid of poverty in my life. But does it mean I must stop being concerned about that? Concerned in the sense that I pay attention to that? No. Because here's the thing. I don't care if you live in the middle of the ocean on a big ship, or boat, or whatever you want to call it, or if you live behind a locked environment. If I ever have to be hungry, I'm coming for you. I'm not going to go to the guy that lives in a poor area. I'm coming for the guy that lives behind the high walls. So the guy behind the high wall must make sure that they create an environment where the high walls are not needed.
Wow, but that's not the case right now in our nation. We're actually making the high walls higher. We're even at the end of the high wall, we're putting an electric fence right up there. We're not pulling down the walls so that we create an environment conducive enough for people to grow and to thrive in it.
But when you say we, it's exactly that. We don't do it.
Yes.
We can't say they don't do it. We don't. So we've got to take responsibility. We've got to take responsibility, be accountable, be the leaders in our worlds, in our communities. Be those leaders that go, I don't want to be the politician, but I can definitely make change here. Do that.
Yes.
And again, the best way to do that is to vote and then hold people accountable. That's it. I said it previously. How do we hold each other accountable? Well, you change, first of all, the government that we currently have. And remember, government can also consist of multiple political parties forming a government.
True.
Let's not forget that. Government does not have to be one with all the power, as you spoke about it there. So we can do that. But then we also have to understand that those people from the political parties, let's say for example we have a situation where we have 10 parties making up the government of South Africa. Each one of those people must be there because we voted for them, because of the trust that we have in them and the hope that they gave us for the next 5 years.
Yes.
If they didn't do that, why did we vote for them? But now I vote, and how do I keep them accountable? Keep them accountable by saying, okay, on a regular basis, I want feedback from you. And as the constituents, the people living in an environment, we have the right and the responsibility to say to those people, we want to meet with you in person. These are the things that you said a month ago, 3 months ago. What happened? What didn't happen?
Yes.
Hold them accountable. But we don't. I'll much rather sit at home and watch TV.
Wow.
Than go out and say, I'm going to spend 2 hours, equip myself, get relevant knowledge about what's happening on the ground. Be the leader in my house. You've heard me say this often. It takes a village to raise a child.
Yes.
That village starts with me, not with the village. I am the village. So it's up to me to say, hey Q, there's a meeting, let's go. Or hey Q, there are no meetings, let's start them. Let's put some pressure on these guys to come forward and say, what have we done? But what do? We listen to politicians. Tell us what we want to hear so that we vote for them. We listen to them threatening us. Threatening us that if you vote for anybody else, you will lose your grant. It's a threat. It's not an appeal, it's a threat.
Yes.
But we don't hear it like that. And we believe it.
Yeah. I love the word accountability. I put it the way, putting your feet to the fire. Someone said it so well. He says it's high time we come to the realization that those in power, we must ask whose power they are in. Who holds the power? So if you look at all the politicians,
Yeah.
they are in power, but we have the power. We put them there. We have the power to remove them from there. So I love their aspect of accountability. At some stage, they have to realize that we work for these people. They are the ones that have put us in the position that we are in.
And that sometime is now,
Yes.
in the next election.
Mm-hmm.
Because here's the thing, years ago, let's say when I was still a teenager, even younger, people would serve, they would be the mayor part-time. You would have somebody that would serve as the mayor, and they would be elected to become the mayor. Okay? Now, there's one government that says, we determine who's going to be this minister, that mayor, all of those things. Look, the world's changed, these people are now full-time, which makes it even more important for us to get involved. Because previously, if I was the mayor, and I was your neighbor, and I did not do what I told you I was going to do, you come for me. And that's how we operated. Today we have a world where we don't get involved in the mayor. We have a situation where in Gauteng we've had, I think, 2 mayors in 1 year or 2 years or something. I've lost track with how many times.
Yes.
We've had situations where we've had the same guy being mayor in different places in the same year or 2 years. Because somebody decided that they must now go here or there. Not you and me. We had no say in that.
Yes.
So, what we need to understand, me, each individual, not the politicians, us, the individual that are not politicians, because they're also individuals, is that we vote them to represent us.
Yes.
They are our representatives,
Yes.
not our leaders.
Yes. Yes.
And that's different.
Yeah.
Because they represent me, which means what? They said something about what I want for my future. I have trust in them. Now they must represent me.
Yes.
In there, when all these decisions about me and the hope that they gave me, because remember that's why I voted for them, they will make sure that they represent me and everybody else that voted for them based on what they said when they need to make the decision. But we don't. We have a situation where they represent the political party that needs to stay in power or wants to stay in power. So they forget about us.
And that's the problem that we have, and there's something that we're going to be talking in the next podcast. But one thing that we just want to round off with is competency in terms of just the leaders we select and the leaders that are representing us. I love the word you used. You said representing us. Now I will give you a little illustration. Most African cultures, when you want to get married, I go and I look at the woman I want. I like her. But when it's time to go marry them, I look
That's
for
provided she likes you.
Yes, provided she likes me. So I work hard and I earn my money.
Yeah.
And I look for a representative to go on behalf of me to pay for this person that I want to spend the rest of my life with. So they do go there and they are recognized as me. They are representing what I hold fast, what I want. But once the proceedings are done, they are not the ones enjoying my wife.
Exactly.
It's me. It's the same things in the spheres of politics.
So it speaks to a number of things. First of all, the people that represent you must know you fairly intimately.
Yes.
They must know what it is that you are looking for your future.
That's it.
And in that future, they must know what kind of an individual as your wife you need that can complement what you want to live for. And then they need to make sure that their understanding of this person, based on her representatives, are equally in line with what you want.
That's it.
So the representatives get together and they say, Houston wants this, Bertha wants this. Based on what we know about these people, takes a village to raise a child, we understand each other, I know the name of my neighbor. Yes, as representatives, we believe this will be a good match. That's it.
Yes.
So it's the same thing to your point. Representatives need to understand who they represent, why they represent them, what these people want in the future, and then make sure that happens.
Yes.
The difference, though, Q, is that these people take it quite seriously. And there is zero vested interest other than and am I making the right decision for the person that I'm representing. Politicians,
Yes.
they do it for a job and a payslip,
Ah.
sadly.
That is why this is my personal view. When choosing leaders, don't go for incompetent leaders. Number
But
one.
Q, what does incompetent mean nowadays?
Incompetence pretty much means that you are not, you said it when we started, you are not capacitating yourself. You're not
So give me a
equipping
practical
yourself.
example. Give me a practical example. I'm going to lead the question. Give me 3 practical examples in South Africa at the moment where leaders were incompetent.
Exactly. You take the Minister of Agriculture who clearly failed there, you make him the Minister of Finance. He fails there, you take him and you make him the Minister of Public Relations or International Affairs. Same guy who failed there, and there is no proof.
But let's bring it home.
Yes.
Let's bring it home. So incompetence at the moment because of so-called leaderships. We left it with the leaders. Eskom.
Yeah.
We joked about it earlier before we started.
Yes.
Listen to the noise. Oh, it's back.
Yes.
We were joking about it.
Yes.
We've accepted that Eskom, load shedding,
Yes.
is part of life. And remember, the same people that got us here a number of years ago said it's not their problem, it's not their fault, it's an apartheid issue.
Yes.
Only to then, not too long ago now, slate a guy by the name of Andre de Ruyter, the previous CEO of Eskom, to say that it was him.
Yeah.
And now recently, within the last 12 months, stood up and said, it's our fault. We admit. So they've been lying
Yeah.
for 10 more. They've been lying since 2007, openly. They've been lying. Even Thabo Mbeki came out and said, we lied. Well, he didn't use those words. He said, it's because of us that this is happening. So incompetence, because we left it to the so-called leaders who
Yes.
lied to us, and we never held them accountable, because how many times did we get to vote for them? And remember, we vote not once. In every 5 years, we vote twice.
Yeah.
Once nationally and once locally.
Yes.
So we vote in local governments. And they are equally important.
David, since 1994, let's just look back. We've been promised the same thing. Right now, I was looking around for their manifestos, for different parties' manifestos. They are promising the same things. They're promising jobs. They're promising electricity. They're promising healthcare. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Something is not working. So who's fooling who here?
So your point, we've got to go to the person that we trust. And again, trust is a big issue. And let's talk about trust going forward. But we are talking about, who do I believe? Who do I trust to be my representative and get me what I want for my life? Now, I'm not talking about give me stuff for free. Q, nobody in South Africa wants stuff for free. Nobody, except politicians. It was revealed, well, it's been spoken about, but it's now, let's not go there. How many of our people in government at the moment are getting SASSA grants illegally? People sitting and working in government, in parliament, are taking SASSA grants. That's the 350 or the 1,000 or 2,000 rand that your mother, your grandmother, your disabled friend or family member should be getting.
Yeah.
These people are stealing.
Yeah.
And yet, we vote for them. We know this. Because now they said it's going to get better.
Yeah.
It's getting worse.
Yeah.
I asked you earlier my leading question. Eskom, Transnet.
Yes.
Why is Transnet so important? Transnet is important because that's that's the vehicle, that's the platform that they use to move stuff around the country.
Yeah.
We can't export, we can't bring stuff in, and I say can't. When we do bring it in, it takes days, it takes weeks, it takes months. And that does what? It makes things more expensive. It doesn't want people say, we're not going to invest in South Africa, we've gone there. I've got so many things going through my head at the moment. So Transnet is another thing. The third thing is education. Look at the schools. We have a problem in South Africa where government doesn't build more schools. So they want to take more people and put them in the same amount of schools. But we don't hold them accountable. And the communities where those things happen don't hold them accountable. The same communities will rather burn down the school or university rather than saying, you out. You out, we want somebody new in. But at the same time, we also have to understand a child doesn't walk from day one. So we must understand that whoever comes in government, whether it's this year or in 4 years' time, they're going to need time. Remember, it took us 30 years to get where we are now, kid. It's going to take us a long time. And it doesn't have to take us 30 years to get there. But it's going to take time for us to uplift us. But it will only work faster and much better if both the politicians and the community work together. And that starts again with us being the leaders in our own lives, in our own households, in our own jobs, where we say, enough is enough, now I'm going to do my bit. That's it.
Wow, wow, David, it's been a mouthful, and I truly, truly believe that it is time that we start talking about these things. You know, somebody told me in October that during the festive season we would have electricity. We will not have load shedding. And then I was like, are you sure? It's like, watch this. And we indeed we did. And for a while there, we forgot. We forgot that we are sitting on a problem. So we need ethical leaders and sound governance. And to do that, we need to begin to take ownership of our localities. You started it. It starts in the home. It starts with individuals. At schools, in the spheres where we occupy, to get to a space where we start talking about government. That's a different platform altogether, but it starts here. It starts you and I.
But Q, it also starts, not but, and remember what I said earlier about you've got to equip ourselves with the relevant knowledge.
Yes.
And the relevant knowledge right now is knowledge that says we need to ask ourselves, why did we not have load shedding? And it's not because the government did something good. So we've got to ask ourselves, and it's everywhere. Read the paper, and please, just because it's on social media does not make it true.
That's it.
Find out for yourself. We know deep fakes, all of those things, and that's part of leadership. If you are going to open your mouth about something, make sure that you've at least did some fact checking.
Yes.
Make sure that what you read is not just because Q or David or Yolanda or whoever said this. That doesn't make it true.
Yeah.
It just means somebody said something.
Yes.
Now you've got to go and find out, is this true?
Yes.
And with today, because of social media, it's easy. Spend 2 minutes, 120 seconds, just go and fact check, and you will quickly. In my house at the moment, my youngest daughter, 23 years old, she comes to me with something and she'll say, example last night. She comes to me and she said, I want to share this with you, but I haven't fact checked it as yet.
Yeah.
How's that?
Oh.
I want to share this with you. Why? Because she knows, like, similar to you, I read widely, I go from left to right in the middle because I want to speak and hear everybody. And because we spoke, after we had the discussion, we had fact checked that what she said was actually true. What she read was true. So we need to understand that we've got to get the relevant knowledge. So when government says to us, oh, you know, we did so well in December, we managed to hold on to it, we must understand why. Now, just as a little hint, one of the whys is most businesses didn't use the amount of energy that they usually do. Why? Well, where did the majority of people go to over December? Holiday. So the offices closed down. Manufacturing closed down. So there was not a need for energy. Now, they're going back and they need that energy. So what happens? Monday, first thing government does. We're back to load shedding. Why? Government did nothing good in December. Nothing. And here's the thing, if they did something good in December, how well did the hospitals change in December? Because they didn't. Did we get better, cleaner water? No, we didn't. Do we now have 100 more schools?
No.
500 more schools?
No.
How many new schools did we get in the last year? So whatever they did, go and fact check it first.
Yes.
Remember what I said about Ray Dalio? If you want to know that you're right, make sure that you are right.
Yes.
And that starts with me, being the leader of my life and the things that I believe, equipping myself, educating myself with relevant knowledge about how to be the best leader that I can be. And particularly this year, at the time I go to vote, I must understand why am I going to do this?
Yes.
Why?
Wow. Wow. David, again, it's been amazing. And guys, we want to thank you, we want to appreciate you, and it's 2024. Don't normalize abnormality. Learn, upskill yourself. Like we spoke about, information is available everywhere. Don't trust the future, your future of your kids, the future of your families, in areas where you have not tried and tested. So we ask you, find out what you need to know, act wisely. Leadership is not just about those that we've put in power. It's about taking ownership of your own life, and it starts today. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you in a bit. David, likewise,
Thanks,
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Pleasure always. 2024, the year of the open door.
Yes.